And then I talked to them about Erwin and what would happen to him, because he was still quite young. And I did feel like I was older. I was already in my 70s.
Tina Turner, the unstoppable queen of rock and roll, left behind a legacy of music, resilience, and heartache when she tragically passed away. Her husband, Erwin Bach, remained mostly silent in the aftermath until now. In a deeply emotional and revealing moment, Erwin has finally spoken out about the unanswered questions surrounding Tina's final days. So, what did Erwin reveal that left fans stunned, and why did he wait so long to speak out? When Tina Turner first introduced Erwin Bach to the world, the age difference didn't seem to bother her. 16 years younger, Erwin was calm, handsome, and deeply respectful. Tina once said he was the first man who truly loved her without trying to change her. But behind the admiration was a growing curiosity. Fans couldn't help but wonder how the power dynamic worked when one person held decades more experience and unimaginable fame. At first, their love felt like a welcome contrast to Tina's painful past. After years of control and fear under her first husband, Ike, Erwin brought peace. He wasn't trying to dominate her career or ride her fame. He was a German music executive, smart and composed. But as the years passed, observers started noticing subtle shifts. Tina, who once held every stage with fire, slowly retreated from public life. Her appearances dropped, and Erwin? He was suddenly everywhere, handling her estate, her press, her medical care, everything. People close to Tina said she trusted Erwin with her whole life. But was it too much trust? As Tina's health began to fail, her independence seemed to fade with it. And while Erwin was always by her side, guiding and supporting, others quietly questioned just how much of Tina's world he now controlled. Some speculated that Tina's fierce spirit had softened not just with age, but under quiet influence. It didn't help that Erwin was the one managing her assets in Europe, the one shaping how the world would remember her. And yet through it all, Tina never expressed regret. But insiders have hinted that her later years were lonelier than anyone realized. Her decision to give up her U.S. citizenship, move to a secluded Swiss estate, and limit her communication with old friends left some wondering. Was she retreating from fame, or had she surrendered control? Tina was known for fighting back, but by the end, fans noticed she wasn't fighting as hard to be heard, and that silence only grew louder when her health collapsed, and Erwin became the sole voice left speaking for her. Tina Turner was no stranger to pain, but in her final decade, that pain became physical. After suffering a stroke in 2013, she was never quite the same. She later revealed that learning how to walk again felt like starting life over. But the real blow came in 2016, when Tina was diagnosed with kidney failure and intestinal cancer at the same time. She was forced to choose between risky surgery and accepting the end. That's when Erwin stepped in. In 2017, he donated one of his kidneys to her. The world called it a beautiful act of love, but behind that story was something far more intense and far more private. By then, Tina had already begun disappearing from the public eye. Her voice, once booming across arenas, had grown quiet. She no longer performed. No new music, no public events. Fans thought she was enjoying retirement, but close friends said the reality was much darker. The pain never stopped. Her body was shutting down. And while she smiled in photos, Tina was suffering in silence. The image of Tina Turner, one of the strongest women in music, relying completely on someone else, was difficult for many to accept. But it was happening. Her days became slower, her circle grew smaller, and Erwin, always in control, became the final filter between Tina and the rest of the world. But what he revealed after her passing? That's when the silence turned into something much louder. After Tina passed, something strange began to unfold. At first, Erwin Bach stayed silent. Fans respected his grief until he suddenly spoke. What he revealed wasn't just emotional, it was shocking. Erwin opened up about Tina's final months in a way that stunned even her most devoted followers. He described how drained she was, how distant she became. He said she was tired. He made it sound like she had slowly let go of everything, but the backlash came fast. Some fans thanked him for being honest. Others didn't hold back. They accused him of rewriting her story, painting Tina as someone who faded quietly, when in truth, she had always fought hard for every inch of her life. The divide between fans grew. Some believed Erwin was simply sharing a painful truth. Others believed he was softening the image, perhaps to protect himself, or protect a legacy that might not be as perfect as it seemed. Either way, what started as a tribute quickly turned into a storm of controversy. And just when the noise seemed to settle, something else emerged, and it changed everything. Tina Turner's decision to leave the U.S. shocked many fans. She had lived through some of the country's darkest chapters and still rose above it all. But in 1995, she started drifting towards Switzerland, and by 2013, she made it official. She gave up her American citizenship and became a Swiss national. The public narrative was that she found peace there. She spoke about the privacy and the quiet, but behind that move was something more complex. Tina didn't just leave America. She left the spotlight, and slowly, she left the people closest to her. At her lakefront mansion in Küsnacht, Tina and Erwin lived like royalty, but in complete seclusion. Staff handled everything. Security was tight. Even neighbors rarely saw her. And here's where things get strange. While Tina always said the move was her choice, a few close contacts weren't so sure. One longtime assistant reportedly said Tina missed the U.S. more than she admitted, that she sometimes cried when American fans sent letters, that she felt forgotten, and even more unsettling, that she didn't feel free to change her mind. Some fans even speculated the move helped Erwin gain more control. In Switzerland, laws around estate planning, privacy, and end-of-life decisions are starkly different. Less public scrutiny, more control for those closest to you. So the question still lingers. Was Switzerland Tina Turner's escape or her quiet prison? But what came next added fuel to the fire. And it said something Tina never said out loud. Not long after Tina Turner's passing, something unexpected surfaced. It was a letter, handwritten, personal, and deeply unsettling. The letter wasn't part of any official estate release. It came from a source close to the family. What made it stand out wasn't just the timing, it was the voice. It sounded exactly like Tina, strong, direct, and clear about what she wanted. The letter, allegedly written just months before her passing, included personal notes and final wishes. But one part in particular stopped people cold. Tina asked that no one speak for her when she was gone, not unless they were telling the truth. She made it clear she didn't want a soft version of her life. She didn't want her pain romanticized or her struggles hidden. And most of all, she didn't want people saying she gave up. Fans who read the leaked note felt chills, but what followed made things worse. In interviews, Erwin Bach began speaking publicly, and what he said didn't match the energy of that letter at all. He described Tina as quiet, done fighting, and ready to go. He painted a picture of surrender, of a woman too exhausted to keep going. His words felt awful, but they didn't sound like the Tina fans had followed for decades. In Switzerland, where Tina died, private letters like that don't always become part of a legal will. That means Erwin could have chosen to ignore it, or even keep it hidden. So how did it surface? Did someone else find it and release it without his approval? Or was it Tina's quiet way of making sure her voice couldn't be silenced forever? The truth is, no one knows for sure. But the moment that letter leaked, everything changed. Because now it wasn't just about Erwin's grief, it was about whether he was honoring her wishes or rewriting the final chapter of her life without her consent. And just when fans thought it couldn't get any more complicated, another twist emerged, one involving the people Tina left behind. As the world tried to process Tina's final wishes and Erwin's version of her last days, attention quickly shifted to something even more controversial: her will. When the details became public, fans were shocked. Tina Turner had reportedly left the majority of her estate to Erwin Bach, her husband of 10 years and partner for over 3 decades. But what caught everyone off guard wasn't what she gave him, it was who she didn't include. 2 of Tina's sons, one biological and one adopted, were nowhere to be found in the main provisions of her will. Her surviving son, Ike Jr., later spoke out in frustration, saying he hadn't heard from her in years and didn't even know she was that sick. He claimed that Erwin had kept her isolated and that reaching her became nearly impossible after she moved to Switzerland. Whether true or not, the claims added fuel to a fire that was already burning. Fans began digging deeper. Why would Tina, who once fought so hard to protect her children during the chaos of her early life, not leave them anything meaningful. Some believed the family rift was beyond repair. Others believed it wasn't about Tina at all. It was about who was standing between her and the rest of her past. Whispers began to swirl that Erwin had played a quiet role in shaping Tina's final plans, that he may have influenced the terms of her estate, not out of malice, but out of control. But the most unsettling questions weren't about money, they were about memory, and what Tina really felt during those last years, hidden from the world, inside the walls of that lakeside mansion. Because what people saw on the outside wasn't the full truth, and the people who were supposed to be closest to her weren't even allowed in, and that silence said more than any document ever could. In the months before Tina Turner's passing, Erwin was heavily involved in the production and licensing of Tina's image, her music, and her estate. He had signed off on deals. He had final say over what was released. And as the executor of her legacy, he now controlled how and when the world got to remember her. That's when fans started to worry. Was this about protecting Tina or packaging her? Her life, her pain, her victories, reduced to curated tributes and carefully filtered documentaries. And while Tina did take pride in her brand, she was never about faking it. She was blunt, honest, and real, even when it hurt. But in her final months, her voice was gone. So when fans ask if Tina truly had peace in the end, the answer isn't simple. But the way everything unfolded, the timing, the control, the filtered truth, has left a shadow on her legacy that won't disappear anytime soon. Because for someone who lived so loud, Tina's final days were quiet. And the people asking questions now, they aren't chasing gossip. They're chasing the voice that went silent too soon. As more details leaked and theories gained traction, fans couldn't shake one feeling. Something just didn't add up. Tina Turner's life had been filled with comebacks, but her final chapter felt like a quiet fade-out. And now, with Erwin Bach controlling her story, people began looking at every detail. But maybe the most unsettling detail. Multiple friends and industry insiders came forward quietly, saying they'd been trying to reach Tina in her final year, with no response. They believed she wasn't just sick, she was isolated, and none of them blamed Tina. They blamed the system around her, and the one person left standing in control of it all was Erwin Bach. That's not to say Erwin did anything wrong. He was her husband, her caregiver, and her closest companion. But when a legacy as massive as Tina's is in someone else's hands, the line between love and control becomes disturbing. Was Tina finally at peace? Or did she quietly fade away in a world where no one could hear her anymore? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And if you liked the video, don't forget to like and subscribe for further updates.